welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Flor and I post new videos every single week, every Wednesday, talking about productivity, talking about motivation, talking about working for yourself, and talking about life in general. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell to be notified of every time I upload a new video every single week. Now, this channel is about to turn 6 months old, so half a year. I posted my first video back in October of 2020, and I thought it would be a fun idea to do a Q&A, a questions and answers video, so you can get to know me a bit better. I posted this on my stories on Instagram. I put the question box sticker, and you send in some great questions. I picked 10 of them, and I'm going to be answering them in today's video. I anticipate that this is going to be a long video, so go ahead, grab a cup of tea, grab a cup of coffee, hit pause on the video, go grab those and then come back. I have caramel macchiato over here for me, so I can drink this while I answer to your questions. With all that being said, let's get started with today's video. First question I have to answer is, how is 2021 treating you? First of all, thank you. Every time someone asks me how I'm doing, how I'm feeling, how's my day going or my week going, it feels like in a way you're checking on me, and I appreciate that. So when it comes to this question, I'd say that 2021 is going good so far. I'd say maybe very good or great so far. We have vaccines. I feel that the whole situation with the pandemic is going to improve at some point this year or next year. So great news. It means we're probably going to be able to travel soon, to see our family soon, to hug everyone, to kiss everyone. All those things we haven't been able to do in the past few months. Maybe go out for drinks with friends, go out for lunch. So I'd say that 2021 is going great so far, and I feel like it's going to be even better as time passes, as weeks and months pass by. And personally, as with many of you probably watching this at home, 2020 was a hard year for me in terms of work. I've been very vocal about it, very honest, very open on my Instagram and Instagram stories about how the industry I work in, which is mainly fashion, but at the same time beauty and personal care, went through a really rough patch in 2020, as many or most industries in the world. Campaigns and projects and events were suddenly suspended or canceled everywhere, so that was not ideal. But as I mentioned, since the world is a better place right now and everything is going, I'd say, a lot better. I have done a few campaigns so far this year. I have some more in the works for the next few months, and some new personal projects I've been working on. So I'd say overall, personal and business and everything, I think we are fine. Hope you're also doing well in 2021. The second question I have to answer is one I get asked a lot of time, and it is, what is the app you use to edit your videos? The app I use to edit my videos, and I think I've been using it for the past 4 or 5 years now, is called Final Cut Pro. It is an app for video editing that it's developed by Apple, so it's only available on Apple computers, so MacBooks, iMacs. I'd say it's an app that it's not really hard to use, but maybe it has like a learning curve. If you're just getting started on editing videos in your computer, I always recommend either iMovie if you have a MacBook or an iMac, or Windows Movie Maker if you have a Windows computer, because I think those two apps are better if you're just getting started. They have some templates, some tutorials you can follow, so I think that makes it easier. But if you are more advanced and you are looking into more professional video editing app, I love Final Cut Pro. For me, it's very good, very easy to edit. And if not, I also recommend Premiere Pro. I've tried it a couple of times. Not my cup of tea as of right now, but maybe I'll use it in the future. We never know. So yeah, that's the app I use. And the third question is somehow related to this one, and it is, how did you learn to edit? So I pretty much learned at my own pace and just by trial and error, as you say. As I mentioned, I started a couple years ago, so by now I know the shortcuts or the tools I need, the tools I want to use. But every time something new comes up, or maybe I want to try some new type of editing that I don't know how to do that, I always go to YouTube. I search for tutorials. I'd say there are tutorials on YouTube about basically everything in life. So every time I need to learn something new, new on Final Cut Pro, I jump on YouTube, I search for that, I follow the tutorial, and I learn something new. The fourth question that I picked to answer is, what is your favorite book and why? And I think this is a good question, especially because I used to say that a certain book was my favorite book for many, many years. And I honestly think that that has changed. When I was around 10 or 11 years old, I read a book called La Mirada de la Luna from the author, I think I'm saying this okay, but it's Jaume Cela Yole, who I think is a Spanish author. The name of the book translates something like The Look of the Moon. I'm not sure it would be the exact translation into English. And this book is about an old man who went to war, who strikes a weird friendship with, I think, a neighbor, which is a kid, I think in his school years. And he starts sharing his experiences through the war and a friend he had and that he lost. So it's a very emotional book. It's a very nice book. It's emotional, sad, but nice at the same time. And I really, really liked it. And for many, many years, I said that that was my favorite book because I think it sort of struck a chord in the 10-year-old me. And I really enjoyed it. And I think it was different from anything I've read up until that moment. But then, of course, I grew up as we all do. I kept on reading books. I didn't find anything that was like mind-blowing for me. But last year, I went into a huge reading phase. You have probably seen all of my videos reviewing books. If you haven't, they will be linked up here so you can go watch them. So I read 24 books last year. And now I don't think I can say that that book represents me at 30 years old anymore because I don't remember that much about the plot or the characters. Maybe I should reread it, that's for sure. But last year I read 3 books that I really, really enjoyed. One of them is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Lori Gottlieb. The other one is called This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. And the third one, and probably my favorite one, is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. These 3 books are very different. The first 2 are non-fiction and they recount real experiences a therapist and a junior doctor had within their jobs. They're raw, they're very real, emotional. I don't know, I love them both. I hope both of them become either TV shows or movies because I would seriously watch them. And I love seeing that other side of the stories and the lives of the doctors or the therapists that work with us patients. And then The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is a fictional book. And as you may imagine by the title, it shares the story of Evelyn Hugo, who is a retired Hollywood movie star, and the story of the 7 men she married and who was really the love of her life. I went into this book not sure about reading it because I didn't want to read a love story and I felt like it wasn't for me, and it was amazing. It's very emotional. I cried probably the last 2 or 3 chapters non-stop, bawling my eyes out. It's a lovely love story, but for all the reasons you don't imagine when you're just getting started. And I think that because of that, I really liked it. So I hope that answers the question. Another great question I got is, what do you do when things don't go according to plan? So I don't know if I'm the best person to be answering this because I'm human. I have bad days as much as everyone else. I think that with time and in the past few years, I think I somehow know how to handle my feelings, how to handle things not going my way. I do still get stressed a lot about things happening in the future. I cannot control it. I get stressed before something happens and thinking it might go wrong. When it happens, if it goes wrong, as I said, not an example, but I think I try to handle and manage that stress in a better way now that I used to do in the past. Probably because I know I get stressed a lot about things I cannot control. And now when I feel like I'm getting stressed, I focus on something else. Put my energy somewhere else. That might be working on something different. That might be reading a book and relaxing for a while. Maybe going out for a walk and breathe some fresh air, or maybe if my day is not going as planned, I sometimes just go to sleep. And I'm not saying I go to sleep at 2 p.m., but if it's, I don't know, 8, 9 p.m. and I don't feel like it and the whole day seems to be going really bad, I go to bed. I probably get, I don't know, 10, 12 hours of sleep, which is something I don't usually get. And when I wake up the next morning, I'm in a such better mood, and I did something as simple as just getting some sleep. So I think as we grow, we learn how to cope with all those things, and what might work for me might not work for you. So I'd say try to learn as you go and try to understand how you're feeling and how you can make yourself feel better even when it's not your best day. I have done another video where I talked about how to get out of a rut, how to get out of a bad patch. So I think that might help as well. I lay out a couple of options, a couple of ideas in that video. So if you haven't watched it, it will be linked up here. So you can go and watch that and maybe get some ideas in order to feel better. Another great question I got is, where do I see myself living in 5 years' time? And I think anything that means making plans for the next 5 years or 10 years is usually very difficult. I always say this, but my life has changed so much in the past 10 years, and where I am right now, not only physically but in mental state, in state of my relationship and my work and all that, I didn't imagine any of this 5 or 10 years ago. So on one hand, I'm always like, just go with the flow and see where life takes you. But on the other hand, I really do wish I am living in New York in the next 5 years. You probably know this already because I say it all the time, but New York is my favorite city in the whole world, and I do hope I'll be living there in 2026. I was doing the math. And yeah, if I can dream, I'd say I'd like to have an apartment in the city. That might be Manhattan or Brooklyn or Queens. And then I'd love to have a house either upstate New York or on the east side, like closer to the beach or something like that. That would be like the dream come true. So save this video and we'll check back in 5 years. Another question I got that I really liked and wanted to answer on this video is, how did I get started with running? So I have been like on and off with my running journey, I have to be honest, but last year, I think back in, I'd say maybe June, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, June last year, I started the program that's called Couch to 5K. So you basically go from your couch, your sofa, to running 5K in the term of 9 weeks. And I did the program. I managed to run not 5K because my speed wasn't that great, but I managed to run for 30 minutes straight by the end of the program, which is the main objective. So I'd say if you are interested in getting started with running, using and following that program is a great idea. It's the same program like everywhere in the world. If you Google it and if you download any apps, there are several apps that are called Couch to 5K or C the number 2, 5, and then K. Anywhere you look and anywhere you find this program, it's gonna be good, and I think it's one I recommend if you're thinking about starting on your running journey. Another great question I got, and this is question number 8, so we're getting closer to the end, is how do you manage to stop working when you are a freelancer, when you work for yourself? So first of all, I did a video talking about working from home that I think you might find useful, where I talk about how to get started with your day, but also how to stop working at the end of the day. It will be linked up here if you haven't watched it already. Overall, what I try to do and what I recommend that you try to do as well from your house or the office is to try to have a schedule. And I know things change and get moved up, but try to stick to some kind of schedule. Maybe know what activities you're supposed to be doing on Monday, on Tuesday, maybe on Wednesdays and Fridays and Thursdays. And then when you are done with those activities, it's time to take a break. It's time to maybe finish the work for that day. Or even if you haven't finished your work for that day, you should set a time limit, maybe 5 p.m., 6, 7, 8, whatever that time might be, depending on the time you started, whether you took a break for lunch, whether you have other things you need to do. And try to just stick with that. Try to be, I'd say, responsible with yourself and with your life life and your work-life balance. And this might sound silly or weird, but you're the only one who is able to put yourself first. No one's gonna tell you shop's closing, you have to go home, or your shift's done, or no boss telling you to go home because it's late. So you have to be the one that's responsible for you, for your life and your mental health and your physical health. So try to stick to a schedule, try to plan activities for the day, for the hours you have available. Try to set up an alarm at the time you wanna leave either the co-working space or you wanna finish your workday and get up from your desk, and try to stick to that. Try to think that sticking to that schedule and actually stopping work for the day, it's good for you, it's good for your health, and even good for your work, because if you are well rested, if you had time to go for a walk or maybe do some exercise, you are going to show up on the next day at work feeling more energized, more excited about the things that are to come, and more willing to put in the work. So take those breaks, set those alarms, and watch my previous video. Second to last question is one I really like and wanted to talk about, and it's that, do you have any clothes that you've had for a really long time and that you still wear them? So the short answer for this question is yes, I do have some clothes I've had for 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, 9, or 10 years that I still wear. That is a short answer. And now I'm gonna go into the long answer. If you don't wanna listen to that or watch this, go to the minute up here where I'll be answering question number 10, which is the last one. But if you wanna stick around, I really picked this question because I think this answer is something I wanted to talk about maybe for a long time and I didn't have the opportunities. So let's start by saying I have a lot of clothes, really a lot of clothes. I'm very privileged in that sense, and it's part of my job, showing a lot of looks on my Instagram account, my blog. So I know that for a fact. And the truth is that from all these clothes I have, I'd say the vast majority is pretty new, maybe from the last year or the last 2 or 3 years. And then I have a rather small amount of clothes that are from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. I know that when I say this, there's like a sustainability issue with all of this, and you might say you are basically part of the problem with the fashion industry that consumes a lot of clothes every year and then puts that clothes into the trash and all that. And I don't think it's the case for me with that. And let me explain why I have the clothes I have. So as you may know, if you watch my channel and if you have watched my previous videos, I moved countries twice in the past 5 years. And with those moves, I could not take everything I had, everything I owned with me, and that included clothes. So when I moved those 2 times, I either sold or donated a lot of my clothes. Clothes that didn't fit me anymore, clothes that I didn't feel were my style anymore, clothes that maybe I wore just once or twice and didn't feel that I was giving them the appropriate use. So I gifted them to friends or family, or I did closet sales and sold them, or I donated to women's shelters. So that's one reason why I don't have clothes from maybe 10 years ago. The second reason is that in the following years, after I moved countries, I got new clothes from different brands I work with. And what I've been trying to do for the past 4 or 5 years is that every time I get new clothes, I try to take something out of my closet. I do have a great amount of space, but I feel like I need to take something out if I'm bringing in something new into my closet, because that way I manage to wear almost all of my clothes all the time. So every time I've been getting new things, I took something out of my closet and I gifted that, I donated it, I sold it. So I kept on selling, donating, and giving away clothes in the past 4 or 5 years. And another huge reason I don't have many clothes from many years ago is because they don't fit me. I do have blazers that I've been wearing for 10 years. I do have winter coats that I've been wearing for a lot of years. I have jackets, but none of the jeans I wore 10 years ago fit me now. And I'm okay with that. I know our bodies change. I know my body when I first started with my blog and I was 23 or 22 years old, it's not the same body I have now at 33. And that's normal and that's natural. And we all gain weight during the pandemic, So I try not to feel guilty with myself. I try not to feel ashamed of my body. And if something I used to wear and maybe I used to love doesn't fit me anymore, I part ways with it. I either donate it, gift it, or sell it, but it's not part of my closet anymore. So basically, I don't have pants from over 3 years old because they don't fit me anymore, and I'm okay with that. And the last question I wanted to answer in today's video is something that I get asked all the time, and I am finally answering it right now. This question is, are you going back to living in New York this year? So I think the most honest answer would be I would love to, but honestly, I don't know. So when you are moving from one country to another, from one continent to another, there are a lot of things at play and things that you don't control. Living in New York and living in the US in general means for us, we need a work visa, and we've been working on that for the past couple of months. And then we need to actually move and re-enter the US, which is something that we cannot do at the moment, being in Europe, because there's travel ban in place at the time I'm filming this, which is the end of March. So there are a lot of things that need to happen in order for us to be able to move. And we don't have a time frame for it. And we're fine with that. We are fine where we are right now, enjoying the place we live in right now and the places we have nearby. And we know it's going to happen at some point in the future, probably when the world starts going back to normal. So long story short is, yes, we are planning going back. Yes, we're working on it. We don't know when that's going to happen in the end. So maybe this year, maybe not. Time will tell. So stay tuned for that. So we got to the end of this video, the end of the Q&A. I hope you liked the questions I picked. Thank you so much to everyone that submitted a question to be answered in this video. If you have any extra questions you'd like for me to answer, do leave them down below in the comments, because I'd love to do a second part, a second Q&A answering your questions. And if you have any other comments or idea or suggestions, of course, leave them down below in the comments as well. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already for new videos every single week, every Wednesday. I will see you on the next one. Bye!